When I first met Evelyn, I thought I had hit the jackpot. A mother-in-law who didn't just tolerate me, but welcomed me with open arms? It felt too good to be true. And as I would come to learn, it was. But back then, I was just a woman in love. Head over heels, hopelessly enchanted by Daniel, my husband. We met at a design conference in Charlotte. He was a software engineer giving a talk about smart home automation. I was an interior designer looking to bring tech into my high-end projects. Our first conversation was about artificial lighting. Our second was about soulmates. A year later, we were married in a quiet vineyard ceremony in Asheville. It rained that morning, but by the time I walked down the aisle, the sky had cleared like it was made for us. Evelyn, Daniel's mother, cried harder than anyone. "Oh, Savannah," she whispered as she hugged me tightly at the reception. "You're the daughter I never had." That moment. I'll never forget it. And now, years later, I wonder how she said it with such conviction, such warmth, while hiding the knife behind her back. I should have noticed the cracks sooner. But Evelyn was charming in the way only dangerous people are, flawlessly polite, always bearing gifts, a compliment in one breath and a question laced with judgment in the next. Still, in the beginning, we got along well. She'd invite me to brunches, take me antique shopping, even ask my opinion on her landscaping plans. "You have such taste," she'd say, looping her arm through mine. "You're just what Daniel needed." Daniel believed it too. He loved that his mom and wife were close. "It means everything to me," he'd say, his eyes soft with gratitude. And so I leaned into it. But there were little things I brushed off back then. Like the time she asked how many clients I had and raised an eyebrow when I answered. "Oh, only 6 right now," she said, laughing gently. "Well, you're still young. I'm sure the business will pick up eventually." Or when she accidentally sent me a photo of Daniel with his ex at a college reunion. "Look who I ran into in town," she said, as if I wouldn't notice the way her fingers cut me out of the frame. But the biggest red flag? She never said it out loud, but she hated that I was the breadwinner. I had built my design business from scratch. I wasn't a celebrity decorator or anything, but I had a solid portfolio and loyal clients across Raleigh and Durham. I made more than Daniel, and I never made him feel less than for it. But Evelyn, she never asked about my work without a smirk. "She's a modern woman," she'd say to her bridge club friends with a tone that was just too sweet. "Daniel cooks dinner while she conquers the world." It was subtle, but I heard it. I felt it. Still, I told myself she was old-fashioned. That she meant well. That I was reading too much into things. I wish I had trusted my gut sooner. The first real crack came on our 3rd wedding anniversary. Daniel and I had planned a weekend in Charleston. He had booked the cutest boutique hotel by the harbor. I had just wrapped a big client project and was dying for a break. But the night before we were supposed to leave, Daniel walked in the door, pale-faced. "Mom had a fall," he said. "She's okay, but she wants me to come stay with her." She sounded shaken. I agreed immediately, of course. What kind of wife would I be otherwise? "Go," I said. "We'll reschedule the trip." He hugged me and said, "You're amazing. I'll only be gone 2 days." But 2 days turned into 5. And on the 4th day, I called Evelyn to check in, and she sounded completely fine. "Oh honey," she said, sounding surprised. "I told Daniel he didn't need to stay. I'd just had a little trip on the stairs, barely even bruised. But you know how he is. Always so, protective." Something in her tone made my skin crawl. Like she was savoring the attention. I didn't say anything to Daniel. I told myself I was being petty. But a seed had been planted. 2 weeks later, I found the first lie. It was small. Innocent, even. Daniel mentioned something Evelyn had told him, that I had hired a male assistant and didn't tell him. "Why wouldn't you just say something?" he asked, a little too casual. I blinked. "What assistant?" Apparently, Evelyn had seen me at a furniture store with someone she described as a handsome young man with tattoos and expensive shoes. She told Daniel we looked awfully close and said it was none of her business, of course. I laughed at first. You mean Marcus? He's gay. And he's my cousin's friend. I hired him as a freelance photographer for my latest lookbook. He's literally in a committed relationship with a drag performer named Glitterbones. Daniel had laughed too. But there was something in his eyes that made my chest tighten. Doubt. Evelyn had planted her first seed. And it had taken root. I started to test her after that. I stopped telling her things. No updates about work, no invitations to dinners. I told Daniel I was just busy. But really, I was watching her. And what I saw chilled me. She'd drop little hints to Daniel. About money. About my long hours. About the way Savannah always seems so tired lately. She even once asked, "Do you think she's still happy in the marriage?" "She's always working so hard," he always dismissed it. But I saw the way he looked at me after those conversations. I felt the shift. Love doesn't disappear overnight, but suspicion? It can grow in silence. Then came the night everything changed. Daniel came home late. He didn't kiss me hello. Didn't ask about my day. Just dropped his keys, grabbed a beer, and stared at his phone. I waited an hour before I asked. "Everything okay?" He looked up, like I'd interrupted something. "Yeah. Just tired." I leaned against the counter, trying not to sound accusatory. "You've been tired a lot lately." And that's when he said it. "Mom said she saw you getting into a car with someone outside a bar last Friday. She thought maybe." "I don't know." "She was worried." I froze. I had been at a lighting expo that Friday. With 2 clients. In public. With a name badge. But he didn't ask for proof. He just waited for me to explain. That night, I lay awake while he snored beside me, and a calm washed over me like cold rain. She was trying to break us up. Not just metal. Not just sabotage. She wanted me gone. And the worst part? She was doing it slowly. Quietly. Like a leech. Whispering poison until Daniel forgot what we once were. I stared at the ceiling until the sun came up. And that's when I made a decision. I wasn't going to play defense anymore. If Evelyn wanted war, she just picked the wrong woman. The morning after Daniel accused me of getting into a car with some man, I made him breakfast. Pancakes from scratch, bacon crispy just the way he liked, and fresh pressed orange juice. I smiled when I handed him his plate, kissed the top of his head, and said, "You've been under a lot of stress lately. I just want to take care of you." He smiled back, guilty, but relieved. That was the exact moment I knew Evelyn was winning. She had him second-guessing me, even without proof. She was playing the long game. But I had just entered the arena. And I was going to beat her at her own twisted game, with silence, with sugar, and with surgical precision. I started with a journal. I knew I couldn't confront Daniel yet, not until I had everything. No assumptions. No accusations. Just proof. So I began documenting every phone call, every time Evelyn just happened to stop by, every lie I could fact-check. September 14th, Evelyn told Daniel she saw me at a wine bar with an older man. I was at the Johnson home redoing their foyer. Texts and receipts confirmed. September 22nd, she said she overheard someone at her gym mention I was seen arguing with a man in a Mercedes downtown. Fabricated, completely. The lies weren't just frequent. They were designed to isolate me from Daniel and make me look secretive. Calculated. Dangerous. She wanted me to explode. To overreact. To accuse her so Daniel could see me as unhinged. So I didn't. I baked her lemon bars instead. "You're too good to me," Evelyn beamed when I brought the dessert over during one of her drop-ins. Oh, I just wanted to say thank you for looking out for Daniel, I said sweetly. He's lucky to have such a caring mother. The venom behind my teeth could have melted granite. I watched her blink, just for a second, confused. That wasn't the reaction she expected. Good. Let her wonder. Let her sweat. Then came step 2, I studied her. I dug into every detail of Evelyn's life like it was an unsolved case. Her social circle. Her spending habits. Her routines. She played the genteel southern matriarch, but underneath that pearl necklace was a woman desperate for relevance. Evelyn hosted a weekly wine and chatter night with her circle of retired friends, divorcees, widows, and the kind of women who wore cashmere to the grocery store. They adored Evelyn. Hung on her every word. So I decided to become one of them. I asked to join. Just once, I said. I'd love to spend more time with you. You've always made me feel welcome. She didn't want me there, I saw it in her eyes. But what could she say without looking petty? Of course, she smiled tightly. You'd be a lovely addition. And so, I joined her inner circle, for one purpose, to find the chink in her armor. It didn't take long. During a wine night at her place, as she poured Pinot Grigio for her friends, I noticed a pale pink envelope on the counter, half-tucked under a recipe book. It was from the bank. It had her name and Daniel's on it. Now, that struck me as odd. Daniel and I had a joint account. He never mentioned having a separate one with his mother. I didn't touch it. I didn't need to. Because that little sliver of paper changed everything. I waited until I got home and casually brought it up. Hey babe, random question, do you have another bank account with your mom? Maybe an old one? He looked confused. No. Why? I shrugged. Oh, I saw a statement on her counter when I dropped off the lemon bars. It just made me curious. His brows furrowed. No way. I've never had a joint account with her. That's weird. I dropped it. But he didn't. He called her the next day. She said it was just a clerical error, something about estate planning. But now the doubt was hers to carry. A taste of her own medicine. A week later, I set step 3 in motion, get Evelyn to incriminate herself. I called my cousin Mari. Mari's good at playing roles. She's done background work for TV shows in Atlanta and has a side gig running loyalty tests for women dating questionable men. She's fearless. I told her I needed her to help me set a trap. She agreed immediately. We came up with a plan. Mari would accidentally bump into Evelyn at her local florist. We knew Evelyn stopped by every Thursday morning for fresh hydrangeas. Mari would act friendly, sympathetic, mention she was thinking of hiring me as a designer but heard something strange. The bait? She said she heard I had a reputation. Something about affairs. That she shouldn't work with me. The trap was live. And Evelyn took the bait. Mari recorded the entire conversation. Evelyn, without knowing who Mari really was, spoke freely. She's complicated, Evelyn said, swirling a sample candle under her nose. She means well, I think. But between you and me, she's not who she pretends to be. Poor Daniel's just too proud to admit it. When Mari pressed gently, oh. Did something happen? Evelyn didn't hesitate. She's unfaithful. That's all I'll say. If I were you, I'd look elsewhere for a designer. My blood boiled when I listened to the audio. But it was clean. Direct. And it was enough. Enough for Daniel to finally see the truth, when I was ready to show him. But I wasn't done yet. Because I didn't just want Daniel back. I wanted Evelyn ruined. So I pulled one final thread. Remember that bank envelope? I called the branch pretending to be Evelyn's assistant. Said I needed to confirm a recent statement from an account ending in 66. Sorry, I can't release any information. Oh, she just wants me to check whether it's a joint account with her son, Daniel Cole. She's applying for a family estate loan. There was a pause. Then, that account is not listed under Daniel Cole. It's only under Evelyn Rawlings and a Barbara Price. Barbara Price? Not me. Not Daniel. Not even family. But I knew that name. Evelyn's bridge club friend. A woman she used to vacation with every spring. Something clicked. I looked through Daniel's documents. Buried in a box of tax papers from 3 years ago was a single form, a wire transfer for $15,000. To Evelyn. Marked family medical help. Daniel never mentioned it. When I asked, he frowned. She said she needed help with a surgery. It felt weird, but she said she couldn't qualify for financing a loan. I showed him the bank slip I'd taken a photo of. Showed him the name Barbara Price. Daniel stared at it like it was a ghost. She told me she was going in for a hysterectomy, he whispered. There was no surgery. She had taken $15,000 from us, lied about the reason, and opened a joint account with her girlfriend. That night, I told Daniel everything. The audio. The fabrications. The lies. At first, he didn't want to believe it. But the bank statement broke him. He didn't say much. He just sat there for a long time, shaking his head. She poisoned everything, he said quietly. I squeezed his hand. But we can take it back, I told him. If you trust me. He looked at me then, really looked. And for the first time in months, I saw the man I married. He nodded. She won't see it coming, he said. I smiled. No, she won't. After Daniel saw the bank statement, the audio recording, and the wire transfer he'd long forgotten, something inside him broke, but not in a way that made him weak. It made him dangerous. For the first time since Evelyn began her war on me, he saw the battlefield clearly. And he realized just how far his mother had gone to isolate him, not only from me but from his own sense of truth. She's been controlling me since I was a kid, he muttered one night as we sat on the back porch. I always thought it was love. But it wasn't. It was ownership. That's when we decided, we wouldn't just cut her off, we'd make sure she could never do this to anyone else again. And we started with her pride and joy, the upcoming Legacy Women's Gala. The perfect public unraveling. The Legacy Women's Gala was Evelyn's favorite event of the year. She co-chaired it, hosted the planning committee meetings, and bragged about her philanthropic influence like it was a crown she'd earned. It was a black-tie charity event for a local children's hospital, held at the downtown historical hall, a place dripping with old money charm and political donors. But Evelyn didn't care about the cause. She cared about the status. She'd be speaking at the podium. She'd be featured in the brochure. She'd be wearing a custom Vera Wang dress she had flown in from New York. It was her night. So we made sure it would also be her fall. Step 1, undermining her from within. I began by visiting Lisa Tomlinson, the other chair of the event. She didn't like me much, mostly because Evelyn didn't. But that changed fast when I sat down across from her with a calm smile and said, I think you deserve to know something. Evelyn's been misusing donor funds. Her eyes went wide. I showed her the paper trail Daniel and I had put together. Evelyn had used the gala's donation processing software to skim reimbursements, slipping in fake invoices for flower arrangements that were never delivered, boutique rentals that never happened, and service tips to consultants that didn't exist. We had proof. Receipts. Screenshots. Lisa was stunned. And furious. She made me sign off on some of these, she whispered. I leaned in. You didn't know. That's forgivable. But if you keep letting her run this thing, it won't be. That was all it took. Lisa didn't just pull her support. She scheduled a full committee review for the day before the gala. Step 2, letting Evelyn spiral. We didn't confront Evelyn. We didn't warn her. We let her keep preparing her speech, her press release, her charity queen costume. Meanwhile, Daniel met with the hospital's legal advisor, who confirmed our suspicion. Evelyn's name was tied to unauthorized withdrawals connected to the charity's vendor account. It's fraud, the advisor said bluntly. At best, misappropriation. At worst, embezzlement. And now the hospital wanted to protect itself. So, they drafted a quiet memo. Evelyn Rawlings was to be removed from the gala board effective immediately, pending an investigation. But they wouldn't send the letter until the committee review the next morning. Because we wanted her in that room, blindsided. Step 3, setting the match. Daniel and I prepared a backup. If Evelyn somehow tried to spin it, deny it, or go after us, we needed a final blow. So, we created a digital file. One that included the full audio of her defaming me, the fake bank account with Barbara Price, the $15,000 fraud, screenshots of her petty smear campaign texts to Daniel. We uploaded it to a flash drive labeled Family Affairs, Private. And Daniel accidentally left it in his mom's handbag during her final gala rehearsal meeting. She'd find it. Of course she would. And if she tried to twist the truth, we'd leak it. To the board. To the press. To the gala's biggest donors. We weren't just defending ourselves anymore. We were building a firewall, one that would burn her to ash if she tried to light another match. The committee review, I wasn't there. But Daniel told me everything afterward. Evelyn walked in wearing her cream Chanel pantsuit, like royalty preparing to receive praise. But the committee members didn't stand. They didn't smile. They slid the printed invoices across the table. And then the legal memo. Danielle said her face went white. Her hand trembled when she reached for the paper. I don't understand what this is about, she stammered. Lisa, ice cold, said, you do. And you're done. Evelyn tried to blame the software. Clerical issues. Miscommunications. Even Daniel. But the documents didn't lie. And neither did the bank account. She left that meeting with no chair title, no gala access, and a warning: if she spoke publicly about the event again, legal action would follow. But she couldn't let it go. That night, she showed up at our door. Red-faced. Screaming. Fists clenched. You did this. You manipulated him. You turned my own son against me. Daniel didn't flinch. No, he said. You did this to yourself. She turned to me, wild-eyed. You think you've won, don't you? I stepped forward. I haven't even started. I pulled out a single envelope and handed it to her. Inside was a certified letter from our lawyer, one Daniel signed that morning, cutting all financial ties with her, including the small trust account he'd once let her manage on his behalf. She was out. No access. No name on anything. No power. Just gone. She screamed like someone had stabbed her. But we didn't budge. She stormed out, and I shut the door quietly behind her. We stood there in silence for a long time. Then Daniel looked at me. Do you think she'll try to come back? I smiled. Not after part 4. Because the next move wasn't about defense anymore. It was about erasing her legacy, and replacing it with the truth. After the gala disaster, Evelyn went silent. No calls. No surprise visits. No social media posts. For a woman who thrived on public attention and behind-the-scenes manipulation, the quiet was unnerving. But I knew better. Silence wasn't surrender. It was strategy. She was planning something. And I was already 3 steps ahead. Because while she was licking her wounds in private, I was preparing the final phase of our revenge, taking back everything she'd stolen, starting with my name. The smear campaign reversal. When Evelyn first started turning Daniel against me, she didn't just poison his mind, she poisoned everyone around us. Our neighbors stopped saying hello. Church friends stopped inviting us to brunch. Even Daniel's own sister, Claire, had messaged me once with a passive-aggressive, maybe if you weren't so controlling, Mom wouldn't feel the need to step in. Evelyn had carefully crafted a persona for me: manipulative, greedy, emotionally unstable. And people believed her. So I decided it was time they heard the real story. I didn't make a scene, I built a case. I knew better than to blast everything online. Evelyn would have used that to play the victim, claim I was retaliating, unstable, bitter. Instead, I went straight to the sources she'd corrupted. Her circle. One by one, I scheduled quiet coffee meetings with her closest friends, women like Margaret Hughes, the city councilwoman, and Diane Cavendish, her oldest bridge partner. I came with documents. Timelines. Screenshots of texts Evelyn had sent Daniel during our brief separation, full of lies and emotional blackmail. The fake wire transfer Evelyn made to frame me. And most damning, the signed bank documents proving she created the Barbara Price account and tied it to Daniel's financials without his knowledge. They were stunned. "I can't believe she did this," Margaret whispered, folding the evidence and shaking hands. "She always hated losing control," Diane muttered. "But I didn't think she'd stoop this low." I didn't gloat. I just thanked them for listening. And left them to stew. Within days, Evelyn's social circle began to fracture like a cracked mirror. Then I found the final crack, her biggest secret. One afternoon, Claire called me. Not Daniel, me. Her voice was quiet. Unsteady. "I think you need to know something," she said. "I found some documents in Mom's safe while helping her pack some things." At first, I braced for something horrible, another fake accusation, maybe. But what she told me, it blew everything open. Apparently, Evelyn hadn't always been Evelyn Rawlings, perfect matriarch. Before marrying Daniel's father, she was Evelyn Sharp, a high school dropout with a sealed criminal record from Missouri and a trail of unpaid debts under an alias. She'd reinvented herself. Moved to a new state. Married into money. And buried the past under a mountain of fake charm and careful lies. Claire had found the old ID. The name change paperwork. Even a settlement check from an old fraud case, one she'd narrowly avoided jail for. "I think she hated you," Claire said, "because you reminded her of who she used to be." I had what I needed. With Daniel's blessing, I met with a journalist friend, Laura Peters from the Capitol View Weekly. She was known for deep dives into local corruption and scandals. I didn't give her the story directly. Instead, I handed her a package anonymously, full of Evelyn's financial crimes tied to the charity gala, her sealed past, and her manipulation of our family. I figured she'd write a quiet exposé, maybe on the back page. Instead, it ran front page the next Sunday. Philanthropy or fraud? The Evelyn Rawlings scandal nobody saw coming. The fallout was swift and brutal. Her face was on the news. Her charities dropped her. The hospital board announced a full investigation and potential criminal charges. The women she once gossiped with at spa retreats now crossed the street to avoid her. She called Daniel 34 times in 2 days. He didn't answer once. But I did. The last time she tried to visit, she left a note in our mailbox. Just one line: "You've ruined me." So I called her. "I didn't ruin you, Evelyn," I said calmly. "You did that all on your own. I just made sure no one looked away this time." She didn't respond. And she hasn't shown her face since. But it wasn't about her anymore. It was about us. Daniel and I had started couples therapy. Not because we were broken, but because we were healing. He admitted that for most of his life, he'd confused his mother's control with affection. "I was scared to disappoint her," he told me. "And I ended up nearly losing the only person who ever loved me without strings attached." That night, he pulled out a small box and knelt in front of me. Not a proposal. A new wedding band. "Not to start over," he said. "To move forward. With the truth. With you." I cried. Not because I was sad. But because for the first time in years, I wasn't surviving, I was free. Weeks passed. The dust from the Evelyn Rawlings exposé had settled into permanent damage. Her public life was gone, her charity empire in ruins, and the last shreds of her social standing had scattered like ashes. She'd gone completely silent. Some said she left the state. Others whispered she was holed up in some old friend's lake house, drinking away what little dignity she had left. I didn't care. I had everything I needed. Or so I thought. Until the letter arrived. The past knocks one last time. It came on a Thursday morning. No return address. Just my name, Savannah Quinn, written in faded blue ink. Inside, two things. A letter. And an old, folded photograph. The letter was written in careful, practiced cursive. You don't know me. But I knew Evelyn Rawlings back when she was just Evelyn Sharp. We shared a room in St. Helene's Juvenile Reformatory in Missouri, 1974. She was wild. Sharp-tongued. And brilliant in the worst ways. She lied like she breathed. She could make anyone believe anything. I watched her manipulate guards, other girls, even the priests who came to reform us. I also watched her betray her best friend, me, for a shot at getting released early. And it worked. I never heard from her again. Until I saw your story in the news. I want you to know, Evelyn's been running her whole life. From who she was. From what she did. And from what she left behind. I kept this photo all these years, of the two of us, 16 and mean as hell, but dreaming about freedom like it was some fairy tale. I don't want anything from you. I just thought maybe, you should see who she really is. The photo was cracked and yellowed. Two girls in black and white uniforms, arms slung around each other. One of them unmistakably Evelyn, but younger, hollow-eyed, smiling like a thief who'd just gotten away with something. I stared at that photo for hours. Not out of pity. Out of realization. She wasn't just cruel, she was broken. Everything Evelyn ever did wasn't just about power. It was about fear. She was terrified someone would find out who she used to be. That her perfect image would crumble. That she'd be nothing more than Evelyn Sharp, con artist and convict. She didn't destroy me because she hated me. She did it because I threatened her illusion. And that changed everything. The court noticed just when I was ready to move on, I received a notice from the state. Evelyn was being investigated for charity fraud, misappropriation of donor funds, and falsifying financial records. I was listed as a primary witness. Danielle and I talked about it for hours. We could let the state bury her. Help them press charges. Make her face jail time. Humiliation. Total erasure. And I'll be honest. I wanted to. God, I wanted her to rot in that orange jumpsuit she so richly deserved. But something in me hesitated. Not because she didn't deserve it. But because I no longer needed it. She'd already lost everything that ever mattered to her. Her reputation. Her friends. Her power. Her son. There was nothing left for her to steal, poison, or ruin. I had taken my life back. And she had to live with what she became. That's a punishment no courtroom could match. The decision, so I declined to testify. I submitted a letter to the state. I have no objection to your investigation. But I will not appear in court. Evelyn Rawlings has lost everything. Any further attention would only feed the monster I already starved. Let her live in the silence she created. That was it. I wasn't doing it for her. I was doing it for me. Moving forward, not backward. 3 months later, Danielle and I bought a new house outside Austin. Small but warm. With wildflowers in the front and a little stream in the back. We spent quiet evenings planting vegetables. Reading again. Laughing, real laughter, not the strained kind we used to fake in front of Evelyn. And on one perfect October morning, I found a letter tucked inside my gardening gloves. It was from Danielle. You saved me, it read. From her. From myself. From believing love was meant to hurt. I will never stop choosing you, Savannah. Every day. Forever. No signature. Just a new wedding ring inside. Simple. Strong. Unshakable. I cried again. But not from pain. From peace. As for Evelyn? Last I heard, she moved to Arizona under another alias. Rumors say she's trying to start a new charity under the name Elaine Rawls. But this time? No one's buying what she's selling. Because her name will forever be tied to a story she never saw coming. Mine.